Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome to Chameleon Cuts. My next episode today, I have Eva Reistad. She is a scintillating, non-Pharrell chameleon, rocking so many shades. She's an audio and mixing engineer, a singer, a producer. She does Foley production. She builds her own gear. She's a pizza connoisseur and so much more. I'm so excited to have you, Eva. Welcome!
Yay!
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So, just to drop some of your major insane creds, you've been working for Hans Zimmer on many projects, The Lion King and Wonder Woman and so much more.
Mm-hmm.
You're working on the new Cinderella project. You're working on, or you worked on Aladdin, Mulan, Aquaman, SpongeBob, the Pokemon movies. You worked with Justin Bieber, Britney Spears, Lana Del Rey, Pharrell, Avril Lavigne, The Weeknd. Girl, these creds are like, it's amazing. So first off, just like a huge congrats to you on your career and kicking so much ass. Like,
thank you.
First off,
Blushing. I'm freaking.
I love it. Oh my gosh, so talented. And the way that we met was so magical. Also, so it was at NAMM. I don't know if you remember, but I met you because we were both working at NAMM, and you were over there at Manly killing it.
Yes. My favorite thing to do ever. Work the Manly booth.
That was so cool. And it instantly, like, right when I met you, I was like, this girl is super cool. She has an amazing energy. And you were loving, intellectual, funny, and sarcastic. I just loved you. I was like, oh my gosh, I really hope that we stay in touch. And I'm so glad that we have, over
absolutely.
Instagram. Yes. So, and bringing up NAMM in 2019, I saw that you were, I didn't know at the time, but I saw after the fact that you were on a panel with a bunch of other women about equality and gender agnosticism in the pro audio workplace. What was that conversation like? I'm so sad I missed it.
It was pretty cool. You know, it's like a lot of different people have different opinions about these all female panels. Like, honestly, even myself as well. Sometimes it's
right.
One of these conversations, whatever.
Right, because we're not trying to be like that, but like
no, but like, look, I mean, it's always going to be a conversation. It just will be.
Yeah.
And it was, first off, it was at like 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday,
excellent.
So, like, obviously, no one was there. No, we had like some people. There were people there, and it was great. But the conversation was, you know, it was really interesting. I mean, it's the same conversation that we've heard again and again, and everyone kind of like stated their piece about it, and the women on it were great, and everyone had different opinions that were all along, you know, the same lines. But you know, there were some good. The guy Daniel had great questions, and one was like, well, what do you feel like one of the thing that kind of resounded with me was like, what can you do, what can women do or whatever to like help men realize or help men, and I just like raised my hand. I was like, look, it is not my job to educate men on how to act in the recording studio with a woman. It's just, that's not my job. Like, and that's not any of our jobs. Like, that's just not, I didn't go to school for audio to like, they didn't take girls in a separate class to like teach us how to deal with guys in the studio. Like, that's something I've had to learn to develop over years of being with men, and men of, you know, the competitive ones that are at your same level that kind of try to punch you out, and the ones that are above you that might not try to bring you up. I'm lucky to have a lot of men that have try to bring me up, so it's like that's
amazing.
You know, but I've also had a lot of times where it's been kind of shit. So the conversation was great. It was just another one of those conversations, and
for sure.
And so a lot of people in the audience had questions, and some were like, "That's great," and yada yada. So it was good.
That's
it was
dope.
A good conversation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever as on your own? Did you ever feel like sort of an ingenue, or like someone like, I mean, like you were treated that way, like coming into this industry? Or did you always feel like a kind of like respect was something that you had to command? Like what, because you seem like more of an assertive type. You like, I don't see you being a victim in any studio environment. That's just
I wasn't always, you know, I wasn't always. I would say I'm a lot more outspoken now. I've always been an outspoken, crazy person. I have. But as we know in the studio as engineers, it's not our job to be the star. Like that's the job of the star and the artist. So I know that very well, and I watch my place in that regard. You know, engineers are supposed to kind of like melt in and offer their skills in a kind of a way that's, you know, that you're supposed to be able to kind of control the energy of the room without commanding the energy of the room, in my opinion, right? I should write that quote
I
down.
love that.
But
That's great.
so for me, it was, you know, I came out here when I was 19. So yeah, like working in West Hollywood, and I'm from Minnesota, like, and people in Minnesota don't, I mean, you become a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of creatives in Minnesota, don't get me wrong. Like, of course, there's, Prince is from there, like in a very creative place, Minneapolis, but I was pretty quiet, and there, you know, like the first day at my big internship in West Hollywood at the studio where I worked with a lot of these huge artists, like, like, you know, the guy interns were like, okay, you go clean the closet, like you can go clean the closet, and they like went into the studio, and I was like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, nothing, you go. And then what they were learning was the headphone system that day. So I, you know, it was kind of like, I was like, ugh. So there I am in like the intern closet taking inventory of all the sodas and the snacks and the candles and everything. And so, I mean, I think you can get, but I think that's with anybody. I don't even think that's if you're just a girl or not, you know. But I've had, so that was like kind of a soft spoken when I wouldn't really fight for it. But the thing is, I think about women is that we keep our heads down, and I think we take a little bit longer sometimes to respond and to have the we take longer to have the confidence to respond. But oftentimes, like, guys will respond immediately even if they don't know the right answer. And I think women are a little more tepid. We don't like being wrong, obviously. Like, we like knowing, when we know something, we know something. But the thing about this career is that it's all about learning. So I'm more outspoken now just because I've learned so much over the time that I think I do exude a confidence, but I wasn't always like that. And I used to take, I've gotten mowed down before in sessions, and I haven't been able to go like, hey, like, don't say like I can do this, or like I can, because a lot of time I don't find it worth it, especially if you're in a session and if someone's treating you weird. It's like, it's not worth ruining the client's experience for being like, you know, it's tough. It's tough in that regard. So there's a really long-winded answer.
No, I mean, there's so much that goes into it, like, honestly, and I know it too, just from, I mean, I took the 6-month course at MI in audio engineering, so I'm like, my feet are like barely wet in it, because I feel like you're saying audio, it's a thing, not only the studio etiquette and all that, but the actual craft and the art form of it is a years and years it takes to develop over time.
Yeah, I mean, just years and years of like being able to walk into any studio and get the signal flow of a console and the headphones and what you want to do every session to have ready. I mean, that takes so long to learn.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So,
yes.
yeah.
So today the topics that I wanted to ask you about and I wanted to highlight was definitely home studio tracking for at-home musicians. I wanted to ask you about tracking for feature films and #1 artists, and microphones and your miking techniques. I wanted to talk about gear and how you build your own compressors and solder speakers and more. That's amazing. And also some secret studio mixing tips would be great. And then we're going to talk about the most important thing, pizza and Italian cocktails, because obviously
pizza and Italian cocktails. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Love it.
But
Great.
like, in all seriousness, working in all the different climates that you've been in that are demanding and so rewarding, like, I mean, it's just amazing to me, and I know that it's probably been such a journey for you. So how did you I know you came here in 2011 from Minnesota, so like, what was your background coming from Minnesota to LA? Did you have any background? Did you go to, I know you did go to school at was it not
Minneapolis Media Institute?
Yes. Okay. I watched that interview.
Which is now torn down. Oh my God, so sad. Because it was the old Flight Time Studios, with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's, because they used to.
Wow.
They were the time, basically. They worked with Prince, and they had a studio there, and Michael Jackson had recorded there.
Wow.
Janet Jackson, Boys to Men, Mariah Carey.
Jeez.
Like, Minneapolis in like in the 80s, 90s was a crazy place, and then they moved out to LA because it was like no one wanted to fly to Minneapolis in the middle of January.
Okay.
so that was kind of my background there. I was, I was always in band and I loved music and this and that and choir and all this stuff. And when we got wind that they first got wind of it when I went to jazz camp at the studio called McNally Smith school. It's also now closed. That was a big music school in Minneapolis, pretty expensive to go to though. So I went there and I was like, wow, like this is a college for music. And that's when like talked to my parents about it. And frankly, I've never been good at school. So it was kind of like all right, like maybe this is what we're doing. Like this is what she's gonna do. So
Yes.
we found one of less expensive 16-month program, and that's what I did. And then uh, Oliver Lieber, whose father is a part of this songwriting crew, Lieber and Stoller. I mean, they have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, or most famous songwriters possibly in the history of songwriting. They wrote Stand By Me and all these, I mean, all those
Same.
songs, like literally all those songs, like was
Unbelievable.
them. So Oliver is the son, and he was out playing with once again, I know a lot of the Prince crew, and I was like, what do I do to get out to LA? And he goes, well, I mean, I couldn't tell you because I mean, he's been in the music his entire life. His dad is a legend, so he just like was like, I'll get you an internship at my brother's studio in West Hollywood.
Oh
And
my
I was
God,
like,
I love
what? And he
it.
goes, absolutely. When you're ready, when you graduate, I'm gonna get you an internship. And I was like, called my mom. I was like, all right, we're
We're
going to
doing
LA because
it.
I wanted to go to New York. Like I really wanted to go to
Ah,
New
that's
York.
where
I
I'm
was like,
from.
yeah, I'm more of a New Yorker. Like I was like,
Yeah,
I
I
want big
see, girl.
city.
You
Yeah, I
definitely
want big
are.
city. I don't want this LA for, whatever. But I ended up out here, and I feel like the path of success would have been the same either place. But yeah, so that's kind of how I ended up out here,
So
basically.
cool, so
Yeah.
cool. And like, would you say that most of your technique and skill in the studio environment you learn just from being on the job and from, did
Yeah.
you have any mentors also, like, or people helping you to learn
Yeah, I
when you
mean, I've had a
started?
couple. Nightbird was a very, very high profile pop studio. There's never, I
Mm,
mean, the clients were never nobody ever. And
wow.
I say that I'm such a jerk when I say nobody. That's a stupid thing to say.
No, I know what you mean. We know what you mean.
Nobody's a nobody, but it was like when you're mentioning Justin Bieber and Britney Spears, it's like that's the place I met all those people and worked and yeah, in school, if there's something that breaks in the studio, you call the tech team. In the
Mhm.
studio, when something breaks, you have to fix it, right? So it's like if we're in a hip
Okay.
hop session with Ti and the speakers are going so high that suddenly something pops and breaks, it's your job to go, oh my gosh, all right, hold on, like you'll
Yeah.
be down. I mean, we used to have like a rule, like 5 to 10 minutes or less, like really to just like figure out what was going on, or if they want um yeah, if they want, oh, let's hook up the 1/8 inch. Can we get an interface in here? Can we hook up an interface? Can I get a MIDI board? It was just like, yeah, sure. 1 second. Like, let me
Yeah.
go get it. Whatever you want. I mean, and that came down to like getting their food orders right, to like setting up the microphones right, to
Mm-hmm.
all those things. And that's where I really learned that be on the wall thing. And Oliver was a great mentor. Like even one day I was up at his studio. He has a beautiful room up in Toluca Lake. Like
Oh,
we're talking
cool.
like 48 channel Neve, like
Wow.
guitar collection, upwards of hundreds of guitars, crazy. And
Wow.
Paul Abdul came over, and all of and it was a small room, but Oliver kind of pulled me aside and he goes, when there's an artist, because I'm 19 years old, you know what I mean? I'm
Okay.
19. Like I don't know anything. I don't know anything about recording studios. I wouldn't
Right.
know shit what to do if a famous person walked in the room. And he said, when there's an artist in the room, stand in the back. Like just stand in the back and let them be in the front. So I always, and so at Nightbird, I really always had that in my brain, just really be in the background. And which is funny because it's hard to be like not weird. Like it's hard to like be there and be
Yeah.
cool and calm. So I kind of like would adopt this, like be cool, be calm, but don't be like the weirdo that's just there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Like a happy
Um,
medium.
yeah, so that studio was a key example of like get the mic set up, get everything set up, check everything, make sure everything's working, all of the above, signal flow. And like our test there, our assistant test was they gave us a huge list of things to do. We'd go in there and they would have gone in and pulled things from out of the 500 series rack and like screwed a bunch of stuff up. And then we had to be
Right.
like, oh God, like we had to go in there and not only set up a session, but also like kind of fix anything that was not working because they would do that in case something happened. So we would know really quickly on the fly how to adjust or how to fix something.
That's so cool. So it's like,
Yes.
yeah, it really, it just all flies by kind of, and you just like have to learn and pick it up as you go along. And then you just like took to heart everything that happened and memorized it. And then in the future, did it get easier? Like when things
Yeah.
came up and
It
that
did,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
And then I jumped and session managed a studio up in Evo Rock, a badass indie rock studio. And that's when I started actually getting
Yeah.
into analog, like a console, a Neve, which is, you know, an
Right.
8068, so easy to use, which is great. It's just an inline console, plug it in the wall. It'll go plug into one, it's going to go to one, it's going to go to Pro Tools mode, which
Straightforward.
is great.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And luckily I'd
Cool.
already had a lot of like being in sessions experience. So I knew how to really work fast. Like I was like if we had a drum setup, I'd be like, all right, let's go. Like set up mics, pin the drums, let's get these guys rolling. Cause I mean, you know, 6-person band takes a minute because it's the
Yes.
labeling the headphone, it's like especially day of, because it was an indie
Labeling.
rock studio. So that was
Right.
that. Yeah, and I had mentors there. The studio owner, Dave Trumpio, was great. The engineers there were great. Shortly gained, you know, the skill of tracking drums and like doing guitars, and I love that stuff.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then I switched to you know, went kind of freelance from there, and now my, you know, one of my biggest mentors as of right now is definitely Alan Meyerson for sure,
I see that
hands
you've worked with
down.
him on a lot of projects.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working together probably for like 3 years or so.
That's so cool.
And he is, I mean, I can't even like begin to start. He is just one of the most talented like engineers I've ever met. And I knew who Alan
Mm.
was before I started with him. And his previous assistant was a good buddy of mine, Forrest. And he was like, you know Pro Tools, right? And I was like, yeah, little did I know. I knew nothing compared to what these guys know in this stuff.
Wow.
Because the sessions are thousands of tracks and just, I mean, orchestra
Yeah,
passes of
so
passes, and it's
yes, and
crazy.
this is what
Yeah.
I want to ask you about because there are paramount differences between tracking sessions for like, you know, an artist coming in versus doing something like that. So
Yeah.
before I ask you in detail about those differences, first off, I want to ask you like, how does it work when, for you as a studio engineer, when you end up recording somebody like an artist, is how does it work in terms of like, does the record label essentially contact whatever studio of their choice, and then you guys are kind of set to do the job, and then is that how it works? Like,
It really, honestly, it really depends. As a freelance engineer, I've been contracted by studios. I have been contracted by labels. I've been contracted by
wow,
engineers of my like engineer friends of mine who like couldn't do it, so they call me, "Hey,
yeah,
Eva, can you come
yeah,
do this writing session?" Sure, yeah, I'll come by. You know, 9 p.m., whatever.
yeah.
Work till 4 in the morning, whatever. It works a lot of different ways. So like a lot of times at King Size, it was a band that would be coming in, and the studio managers would go, "Okay, Eva, you can do it," or like I did some, or like I used to have my thing up on the studio. So if bands or if there was a company, they'd be like, "Oh, we want her. We like her profile." Like, you know, it'd be like Eva
Love
likes
it.
guitar tones, and so I would handle
Yeah,
stuff for that.
hell yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah, so they would go through there. And or like I got in with a couple labels because yeah, I had some friends who couldn't do stuff, and then they'd have me do it, and then I would step in, and then the labels would call me back, and that happens quite a bit. Like I've got some girlfriends who, you know, sometimes you're a little bummed because it's for some like cool writing camp at Capitol, and I was like, oh, I can't do it. Like I'm working on a movie, and I pass that
Uh,
on to a like a girlfriend, and then they get called back by
mm,
Capitol Studios. You know, it's like
right.
it can happen a lot of different ways. It really
That's
can.
super cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so interesting.
Hmm.
So working with so and I listened to all of your songs on SoundCloud and I fell in love with your voice.
Oh, thank
Oh
you,
my
thank
gosh,
you,
it's so lush and velvety and just
thank
I
you.
love it. Like I don't know if you've ever considered publishing any of your stuff or trying to get it into the sync world because it's like like I have to tell you because I've been involved with like the sync community and learning a lot about it in the
Right.
past 2 years, and they're always asking for the type of style of stuff that you have. This kind of
I
indie.
I
It's
you know, it's funny.
amazing.
I would love to get into it. The problem with some of those songs is that I released them so long ago that like I do have like for like What I'm Not, for example, I still have that session. I still have like 2 of those sessions, but you know what I mean? I'm like stuff back from like 2000 in my early 20s. I was just making songs and I like got a hard drive stolen. So like some of those songs I don't have the recordings for anymore.
Oh my gosh.
But I people have been pushing me to do sync for a long time. Because
You got the sound, girl. I'm telling you. Like, we'll talk after, and I'll tell you some like companies that I know for a fact would really like that stuff. Like, there's some licensing companies I can think of off the top of my head. Like, they literally ask for that kind of stuff. So.
Absolutely.
I know you're so busy, but I will.
No, I really want that freaking static computer. What do you call it?
Yeah, it could definitely be
I would love that. And I've talked to friends about it, and I swear to God, once I get my first sync, that's when it's gonna go. And I'm gonna be like, let's go, writing sessions.
And I love your voice. It reminded me a lot of Lana Del Rey in some ways, but like better. And it's funny that you worked with her. So like, did you use a similar mic on her that you maybe use on yourself? Do you ever do that with singers that come in when you kind of like know their voice?
No, I don't. And honestly, with Lana, I wasn't actually the engineer on the sessions with Lana. I was just an assistant at the time setting up mics for her, but she was using she really liked the Cathedral Pipes microphone.
Oh my God, Adam Kagan.
Yeah, they have the lights in them. Yeah. They're great.
They're so pretty.
Yeah, I know. They're a little kitschy, but they sound amazing and they're beautiful microphones. They're so gorgeous.
Like the prettiest ones ever. Them and Telefunken got the like eye candy thing. Really good.
It's really great. So I mean, I'm a huge, what mics do I use on my voice? I mean, to be honest with you, I use an SM7 a lot and the Manley Reference. I don't have a beautiful upper mid range. My 3 to 4 is a little harsh, and the highs in my voice don't even really exist. So some of those like C12s for me, it actually kind of takes the emotion out because I have like a lot of lows. So it's like warmer microphones are better for me. I'm more of a 251, person. But a lot of those songs on my songs you hear, it's just, I mean, literally it's me in my studio or in a studio putting up any mic we had because I had access to so many studios. If we were songwriting late at night, I'd be like, cool, lay it down. Like, let's put up whatever we got, if it's
so good.
Yeah. If it's an 87 or like a Wonder makes great 47s too.
Oh, right on.
DP, Dave Perlman makes great mics. So I've used a huge variety of those.
So I would love to know, what mics do you like have at home? Well, what's an Eva's mic locker?
Dude, it's not great. I have a SM. So I actually have a roommate though who has a studio out back. He's a composer.
Oh, nice.
So luckily I don't actually need many mics because I can borrow his, and I also have access to the studio, so I don't really, you know what I mean? But so when I say my mic locker, I would say that Alex has a Manley Ref C that I've used here a few times, like to do some vocal samples for people. Cool. Like I've already said like 3 times, the SM7. We have some 414s as well that we've done we do tracking in the piano with. What else? Some Mannheim microphones. Andrew Mannheim is a guy who actually helped me build my studio, helped me bring my vision to life of this room.
That's right.
And he also makes microphones. So good ones too. So that's cool.
Super cool.
Yeah. So I wish I could say Coles and Royers and all of that. But
no, it's only, I mean, like, it interests me because I would love to know the kind of gear that you use that works for you. And I would love to know, because I saw in the other interview that you were doing where you got into this awesome answer about like musicians tracking at home and you didn't get to finish because of a 30-second thing. And I was like, no, I really would have loved to know.
Oh, Daniel's saying, yeah.
I was like, oh my God. It's like, can you put the timer on again, please?
I mean, when you're recording at home, this is so funny. I say this at trade shows too when I'm working for Manley. I'll be like, if you're at home, if I'm here, like you can probably hear right now my fridge is in the back I can hear my fridge from here. If I have a $46 to $20,000 microphone in this room recording, I can guarantee you it's not going to be great because behind my voice you're going to hear my refrigerator. I hear my neighbor's kids who are totally cute, but like, you know what I mean? You're like not gonna. You have to pick and choose your battles. So for me, like an SM7 is great at home because like God bless that mic, it has such low such low gain. You need like a cloud lifter for it, which is like
Oh,
not great,
wow.
but a microphone like that
Huh.
is gonna do you better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you
Really
better
good to
than
know. And like,
yeah.
okay,
And
cool.
I'm not
So
telling people
for
not to get a
vocals,
condenser. Get a condenser microphone. Totally. Like get something like that. But like you it's tough. It's tough in a house. It's like tough when you're in an
yeah.
apartment.
Hardwood floors,
All of that stuff is very
lawnmowers
difficult.
outside.
Yeah, no, that's so funny you mentioned that because
I was
even
like, really?
my roommate's
10
studio is super
instrument
sound
tables.
treated. Yeah, and I had an artist over on a Thursday and I was like, "Oh my God, it's a Thursday," which means yeah, yard work. And like that's the one thing his studio is not sound like can't handle is those guys outside. Like it can take helicopters like no problem, but like man, when you got that guy out there like
That buzzing, it's
it's
just like,
like
it's like 10,000 million different frequencies coming out of it. It's just not gonna happen.
I know it does
Okay,
terrible.
cool. So try to make the room dry. Try to like just get a good microphone, like an
I used to,
SM7.
I mean, if you saw pictures of me over the year, it's hilarious. There's like pictures I have, like I'm under a blanket, like with a thing. I mean, I would recommend getting one of those sound. They've got great
Yeah,
like
the
S
reflection. Yeah, SE.
S
I have
S
that
has
one.
one.
I like that one. Yeah.
Even those cool little bub. My mom sent me this funny thing where it's
Yeah.
like you can put it over you. I'm like,
Just
whatever
put over
floats
the
your boat. I mean, if
a
you look
little like
ridiculous,
astronaut helmet,
yeah,
like.
seriously,
But
seriously.
the eyeball I've used before. We've got one that's not exactly the eyeball. It's cheap. It's not the Chaotica eyeball. It's a cheaper one. It's like
Okay,
$35. And it's like the same thing, and I think it does a pretty good job instead
yeah.
of using a pop filter.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
definitely I just try to dry my room out and stuff like that. But I've as a vocalist, I've never really mixed vocals before on my own, and I would love to start doing it. So do you have any tips for like what your favorite reverbs are or compressors? My voice is kind of mid-rangey and high-rangey, so I do a lot of the coloring on my own with my mic because I just
Sure.
never knew how to use all the effects and stuff. So what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, like, let's see, what's a good thing? So first off, what do you work in, Pro Tools or Logic?
I'm working in Logic.
Okay, so I think does Logic have templates?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, number one, like, if you can start off a template, do it because
Okay.
everything's already built for you,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Yeah.
not saying this, I mean, I'm telling you to cheat, right?
I
Because it's
see it
like,
every time and I'm like, I should set that
no, do it,
up.
do it.
Yeah.
Use the template because then it's already set up. Because if it's not set up, then you have to go in and build everything yourself, right? You have to build like your
Every
reverb, your
time.
delay, and whatever. And the cool thing about templates is that it allows you the chance to experiment with stuff. So like
Mm,
if you turn up a reverb, you go, "Oh, that reverb's not good. Not cool." Just turn up the other reverb. "Oh, that reverb's cooler. Like let's try that reverb, like let's do that."
yeah.
So that's why I love templates.
Cool.
With reverbs, a cool vocal trick, especially if you're doing dry vocals, like
Mm-hmm.
dry right up in your thing in home recording.
Yeah.
And I learned this trick a long time ago, is that with reverbs, not everything should be going to the same reverb. And when you're mixing, right, your vocals should not almost always, but should be going to a different reverb than everything else. You know what I mean? And that's because, like, let's say like you have a shaker, like let's say you have a big vocal sound and it's this big thing and like a shaker comes in and you're like putting that shaker through this hall reverb. It's like it doesn't make sense, right? Like, why
Yeah.
is a shaker going to be going through a church reverb? It just doesn't,
Right.
it's like, what's going on? So
Yeah.
for like percussive things, use short reverbs, use like a room, like use like a, to make those kind of pop, and then save the bigger grandiose reverbs, the long ones for your voice. But also what I do on vocals often is I'll use like two reverbs. So one will be a room reverb, because when you're in a booth and it's just like you're right here, it's unnatural sounding, right? It's like what's going on? So
Right.
I like putting on a reverb that's like a room sound, right? So now we're in a room singing and you're like, oh cool, we're in a room, and then add a larger reverb as well. So then your bigger
Very
reverb is like
cool.
your big ballad or your pop reverb. You know what I mean? So that's what I recommend. I think a lot of artists make mistakes of like just recording their vocals super super up and then they just put a giant reverb on it. And it's like, and it sounds really washed out. And that's because you're
Right.
not putting that voice in a place. You're just putting it in a church, which is
Yeah.
weird because the signal's so dry. So
Got
that
it.
would be my recommendation as far as
Cool.
reverbs go.
All
And
right.
you sort of have to, find out on your own your preference of reverb tones, like,
Yeah.
because it often depends on the track you're doing.
Yeah.
So things fight each other. So if you're doing a
Yes.
ballad, maybe you want a darker reverb, but maybe you don't because maybe the piano is really dark. So maybe you
Right.
want that voice to set out from the piano. So that's why singers hate mixing. That's why I as a singer hate mixing. I will circle around a track. That's why I don't release ever release my tracks, because I just circle around the mix for like years.
Oh my
But
gosh.
and then as far as EQing, I do subtractive EQ before your compression, right?
Okay.
That's what I would do, and I'm totally stealing literally that word for word that Alan told me that like months
Yes.
ago, which is
So do
hilarious.
you
He was
do you
just,
take off like 250 in the beginning and you
yeah, do your EQ and then compress after. Or I mean,
okay.
some people do it the other way, that's fine, but that's just what he told me and I do that and it sounds great. So,
Cool.
um as far as EQs, I always do a roll off, always pretty much, and then depending on the mic, I'll like lift the highs.
Mm.
If it's a ballad track, I usually won't really lift the highs. I'll usually always
Mm.
roll off though. I mean, and you got to gauge how much you want to roll off. Just to make it cut, because a
Yeah.
lot of time there's information down there that your voice doesn't have, like in the
Yeah.
low, like your voice isn't going to have the same frequencies as an 808, so it's like, why do you even have that frequency in there at all,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah, so those are a couple
Cool. I love
suggestions
it.
I have.
Thank you so much. That's so great. I know people are going
Yeah.
to be so pumped to hear all this information, especially there's a lot of newbies that watch my show who are new and green and don't really know how to get started and are kind of scared and intimidated about it. So this is so helpful.
Yeah, I mean, and these days you can go online, you can find this stuff anywhere, but the key is actually going in there and listening and doing it. I mean,
Mm,
you gotta tweak, and you gotta want to tweak, and if
right.
when you get tired of tweaking, which you will, it's like take a break, take a step back, don't listen for a couple hours, and then come back and keep working. And that's the only way you get better at it. No one kills it at
Yeah.
first. No one. It's like,
Right.
Jesus, my stuff, even
Yeah.
to this day, I'm like, what is that EQ doing? And I bypass stuff a lot too. Like I'll listen to before and
Mm,
after, like click that stuff on and
AB.
off.
Yeah.
Because sometimes
For
you're like, that's
sure.
hurting, that's not helping.
Yeah.
Like a
So I'm
lot.
glad you brought this up too, because one of my other questions for you was how, like, what's the longest period of time that you will sit in a chair mixing before you're like, I need to take a break? And what do you do to diffuse?
I mean, I'm a extremely ADD, so it's hard. I mean, that's tough. I mean, but if I'm
Yeah.
really in on something, if I'm really in, I can work for hours on it. I can work for a couple hours. But then I'll like, recently my assistant came in and he's like, it's getting really loud in here because you turn it up, right? You
Yeah.
end up turning it up because you're like, oh, it's just like, and he's like, it's getting louder and louder in here, just so you know. Like he's like, it's really loud in here. And I'm like, fuck, like I'm mixing so loud. And that's when I need to know that I gotta like turn down, step out, like I'll go on a walk, like usually, or I'll get food, or I'll get tea, or chew gum, or just like,
Yeah.
I try to avoid going on my phone as much as possible because that just
Right.
breaks my focus and my attention.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean, 2 hours for me is probably the max of being able to, if I'm really in it, two and a half. And
mm.
if not, like I'll take half-hour break. Like I break
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
I do break a lot.
That makes total sense to me. I mean, and does this ever happen to you where sometimes once you walk away from something, then you'll realize something that you actually should have done to the mix, and you go back and then you fix it later, and you're like,
Oh,
oh,
all the time, all the time. And it
so
also, that
funny.
happens often after you print down. Like for me, when I'm printing,
Of
like, and then I
course.
send it to the band and then we're listening and I'm like, oh, And they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, oh, yeah, sorry, guys, let's go back. Because it's like, once it's like in a form of like a listening thing, and once you're listening with the people, that then it's like, oh shit, it always
Yeah.
sounds different when they're listening too. It does.
Yep. I totally hear
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Which is another thing. Yeah, my Alan, my mentor Alan,
Alan.
has said as well. It's like, he says the same thing when, as soon as a composer comes in and sits down with him and listens, he's like, it sounds completely different to him. He's like, it could sound amazing, and then when someone comes in and sits down, it sounds different.
Oh my God. Oh.
I mean, I feel it. I feel it.
Yeah.
With composers or an artist, it's the same thing.
Right. So talking about composers, let's talk about Hans Zimmer. What's it been like working under him? I've heard that while amazing, that he is he's demanding, but in a good way. I mean, nobody gets anything fantastic done without commanding their team. So what do you have to say about your whole experience working and the expectations and all
Hans
that?
Zimmer. Oh God, that's a conversation. No,
Yes.
I mean, his talent is unparalleled.
Yeah.
He is truly the guy. You know what I mean? He's a genius. He's just, I mean, he's just incredible. I mean, and
Yeah.
he's got the discography to prove it. You know, it's
Yeah.
just like
Since I was 7, that's when I first started listening to his scores in film, because my brother directs, and that's how I got kind of exposed to his music. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like the first film was Gladiator, and I was like, oh my god,
yeah, and
Lisa, and yeah.
He has amazing ideas, and he has the resources to execute them. Working on his team, there's a very high level. If you're on Hans, like in the echelon, like if you're in that crew, you know, Remote Control Productions, which is his studio, is a very large thing. It's about a block long in Santa Monica, multiple buildings, and multiple composers work in there. It's a big thing, right? So Hans is only a portion of that. You know what I mean? And so, but if you get in and you're doing projects with him personally, I mean, the expectations are pretty high. Very little room for error. I mean, if you're there and you're working on that project, you're just expected to do the job correctly and quickly, and that's just kind of how it is. And he, I've learned a lot from him. I think he's someone who's really taught me how to use my voice, as far as, because he can be quite intimidating. Intimidating.
I can imagine.
He can be a hard ass. He really can be. But he, you know, it's crazy. And when we go back to this thing of being a woman and speaking, and Alan also really, you know, when I first started working with Alan, I was very quiet. I was like really quiet because I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know what you know, and I struggled, and Alan would go, what's happening here? You know, like, what's going on here? And I'd go, well, and he goes, the fact that you said that like that means to me that you don't know what's going on right now. And I'd be like, yeah, and I know that sounds harsh, you know what I mean? But who else would say that, you know? And there's not a lot of guys or mentors that will go to you, like, that will say,
that will care.
Up, and if you don't say, and then guess what? That's amazing, because that translates into a studio when you're with the band, and you're kind of like, should I? And then you go, I need to speak up right now, because I need everyone to know what we're doing and what we're talking about. So, I mean, and Hans is the same way. There's been times, like on tour, we're in fucking Singapore, and we're in a giant, we're outside, and we're doing a sound thing, and he's talking, I can't hear him because everyone in the back is yelling, and the lighting guy, and I go, and Hans goes, did you hear me? And I'm like, it's loud back here. And he goes, well, then tell all them to shut up, you know? He goes, Eva, you have to tell them to be quiet so you can hear what you're doing. Like, this is your job.
This is your show. Honestly, you're running the show. You were doing live sound mixing for that, right?
I wasn't doing the live sound mixing. I was running playback.
Okay, so
I was running the playback rig.
That extremely important job.
So in that sense, like,
that's cool.
and that's kind of the thing, and it's so funny because we all battle. It's funny. I think what I've really learned there is that it's better to know what's wrong than to go, oh, I don't know. Like it's almost like
Mm.
you eat your mistakes,
Mm.
and because that's like in a live show, if
Yeah.
something goes awry in a playback, you don't want to go, oh, I don't know. It's not like a Pro Tools like little error where you're like, oh, whatever, like let's go again. You can't do
Right.
that. So it's like,
Right.
and even with Alan, it's like if something's wrong, it's like we work on these movies. There's 70 cues in a movie, and like I've said, thousands of tracks. So if there's one thing wrong, he goes, I mean, I know he'll start thinking, he'll say, is this on everything? Like, is this mistake on everything? And like, luckily now I've gotten to the point where like, I mean, what I still make, I still make mistakes, like really stupid
Girl,
things.
it's
Like,
so much going on.
yeah,
I'm
but
amazed like
it's not as
how
easy. It hasn't been as easy now because we're working from home. So like, if there's a session,
and
like
there's that.
if there's like a bunch of stuff like mislabeled, like it's already on his computer, like where I used to be able to stay late at the studio and fix everything, but now I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like the print tracks are named wrong, shit, like, and I'm like, oh, that's so annoying for him.
Mm.
But so that like Hans in that regard, I mean, honestly, those two have just been like really incredible mentors. They've
That's
been,
really cool. It seems like they've given you that permission to like, hey, you know when something's wrong and it's
yeah.
okay to speak up about it. That's really, really
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, there's like a confidence thing that they would that they
Yeah.
and I think they, and Alan, I mean, Alan will even say it. It's like I struggled at first, like it was hard, and
Mm,
then it's like when I take longer to get things sometimes too. So like really being able to speak up
for
and be like,
sure.
I don't understand, like, and I can
Mm.
see
I
like
know
if they're a
it's
little annoyed,
scary.
like, yeah,
Even in school, raising your hand when you have a question, sometimes it's like, I don't want to look stupid. And like, for me as a female, the only female in the audio program too, it was like sometimes the dudes would push up to get to the console first and like, fuck, like I had, you know what I mean? And I was just like,
yeah.
oh, God, I gotta, if I want to be present, then I've got to get up there. I've got to do it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
like,
no, and I meet so many girls who get stuck as interns for a long time. And I was even talking to a girlfriend of mine the other day, and she's doing huge stuff. And she goes, dude, at the end of the day, sometimes I still feel like I'm the glorified runner in these sessions. And it's like, because
mm,
women, we like, there's so many factors. There's the factors that we like to make sure everyone's taken care of, whether that's like the
right. We're
comfort in the
nurturers by
studio.
nature, first,
Yeah, we
and
want
then
to
there's
nurture,
that.
which sometimes makes us let them, we like everyone to feel comfortable, but it's like, wait a minute, you got to go up there and you got to run the show, like you got to be
Yeah.
confident enough to go up there and do it, and then once you do it and you love it, and no one gets rid of that being nervous in a session thing. That I know
Right.
engineers who've been engineering forever and they still get nervous when they walk into a session. It's always a little like, what the hell's gonna happen, because sessions can go
Yeah.
awry in so many ways.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, speaking of that, so
Yeah.
what's it like when I guess before post COVID pre-COVID when you were tracking a session with like hundreds of musicians or something
Hmm.
or maybe 100 musicians, 70 musicians
Hmm.
you tell me something for film and like how does everything go down and who are the people that you're communicating with and what's that like? Are you communicating with vocal contractors who I just discovered is a thing, vocal contractors,
Yeah.
music conductors? Yeah, so what's your dialogue like between each other and what's that relationship, the conductor, the composer, and when you're delegating and obviously you show up early and you set everything up and mic everything in a specific way, right?
Right. Well, so I personally, actually myself, am not usually involved in the sessions because I'm
Okay.
I'm ground zero back at the studio dealing with everything coming in. Because
Okay, got
straight from
it.
the stage, we're going to mix, right? We're going to mix, like we're
Okay.
we're recording, we're recording. But that being said, Alan is the one at the stage. And so how that all works is, yes, buttloads of planning.
Yeah.
Usually a whole setup day the day before. The musicians get contract, like you said, there are contractors. There's a musician union in Los Angeles, and
Mhm.
there's vocal contractors, and then there's like the orchestra contractors, and yeah, so they contract these musicians, and you know, lots of money on those dates, lots of money. Those
Yeah.
players get paid a lot, and
And they're
so I
union,
mean,
right? Like you can't
yeah,
play those
yeah.
gigs without being union as a
Hmm.
musician.
Yeah, so to get into those stages and to be able to work on those sessions, it's in LA especially, there's not a big group of people who do that stuff.
Yeah.
It's because there is no time. There is no time, like the minute, I mean, things just don't go awry because they can't, because you're on the clock is getting hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like boom, click, the numbers running.
Right.
And that's when like
it's so fast.
yeah, and so that's when you're getting called. And so like that's when when I say you're getting called, so I'm getting called right now. That's when and there's people from the contractor, like the union, like they're making sure that the musicians get a break for 20 minutes. You get like a 20 or hour, I forget how it works, but you basically, it'll be a thing called a single or a double or a triple.
Right.
Which is a like that's how many sessions they have, usually at most they can have in a day with those musicians. So there's a recordist, there's a person just operating Pro Tools. It's all they're doing, and it's just their job to keep track of the take counts, because you get in the upwards of thousands of takes on those things. So there's usually someone taking take notes. The composer is always at the console with the music open, and the conductor like has a talk back in their ear that the composer can either talk to just the conductor, because the conductor is the one driving, right. Or the composer can also talk to all the musicians, because they're kind of running it like they would a class, or like an orchestra, like if you're at the symphony. It's like, right. So it's insane, and they get through so much music.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a machine, like literally.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Edie, a woman that I know who does this, and I think you might have worked with her before too, actually. Edie Lehman Boddicker.
Edie, I've emailed Edie a few times.
Yeah, she wears many hats, right? Because she's a vocal contractor, but she's also conducting. But it's just like hearing you talk about how fast it all is, and it's so interesting that so many people chameleon and have all these different roles, like. And that's what, the show is about, is chameleoning. Like, look at you do so many things. You're mixing, you're engineering, you're tracking, we didn't even get to talk yet about how you design your own compressors. Like, oh my God. I could literally keep you for hours, Eva. Like, I don't know, there's not enough hours to discuss all of your amazingness in the day.
Well, those are my compressors. I was building those for a buddy of mine, but I do know how to build them. Yeah.
That is so rad.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah.
And then speakers, you got into soldering speakers also?
I don't solder. I haven't soldered speakers. I can solder an NS10.
That is cool. That is pretty cool.
If there's a sub that break, speakers are pretty easy. Like those old, like the old NS10 boxes. So I've had like a sub break, and I had to like grab it and like solder it to, like, I had to go drive and find another sub because there was a session in the morning, and put it in and solder it, and that's it. That's the extent.
Like, I don't even know what that means, but
it's a woofer, the bass part.
Okay, so you basically like detach it, and then a solder is used in welding, right? So it kind of heats it up and attaches.
So solder is basically like a metal. It's a metal
wand of some sort.
I don't know the sign. Yeah, it's a metal bond basically. So metal on metal solder will stick, right? To metal on metal. That's like the only thing it really, like, you heat two metals and solder. So that's a lot of wiring goes into circuit board. Audio analog gear is made up of resistors and all these little things that transistors and God, so much stuff. You could go on about it, and I'm not the most knowledgeable about it. I was getting into it for a bit because I know a tech and a guy who built, Highland Dynamics. And so I was helping him solder for like a couple months. He's a great buddy of mine. And I was like, he was just kicking off his compressors, and I was like, I'll totally help you. So I helped him, like solder. I must have built like 15 or more of them. And I'd sign my name on the circuit boards or write.
That is so awesome. It's like you did it yourself. Like, oh my God. I've always felt so really proud whenever I did it, like built anything myself. Like, I used to DJ, and I built a little partition for myself one time, and I like hammered everything in, put some lights on it. I was like, I made this. Like,
check me out.
Right? I
Amazing,
love
yeah.
it. That's so awesome. You've given such amazing information, like in this session. There's so many more things that I could ask you, but
Right.
I would love to know what are some of your future passion projects that, if there's anything coming in the future for Eva, anything that you have in the back burner that you would love to finish up and put out.
I mean, I would love to finish some songs and get them for sync. I really
Hell
would.
yeah.
It's just, it would, I mean, it would have to be someone being like, Eva, every Thursday, 5 to 8, you're doing this. We're
Right.
sitting down and here's what, like, my friend Britney is I'm kind of taking her on is she's obsessed with it. She does it all the time. And I don't know if she's got anything placed, but she takes all the classes and she knows all the resources. And so she's like, Eva, like, we're going to do it. And I'm like, okay. So like really getting my own music out is like a long, like I've given up actually wanting to do it. But yeah, so
I totally support that, and I will join your friend in badgering you about it as well. And
yeah, I just don't know how or what. I just it's tough. And then also, I mean, for me, I really love scoring, film scoring. I love mixing movies. So I've got a couple other projects coming up. I want to turn my studio here to surround, like a little surround studio.
Oh my God, that'd be so cool.
Because I love it. I've been dabbling in immersive audio mixing. There's some cool stuff coming up on the horizon that we can't talk about, but it seems to be the flavor of the week with everyone, and I've kind of been pioneering something in that sense, which is exciting. And
very cool.
Yeah, working with artists. I've got a couple artists I'm going to be working with in the next couple months, and so just really I really want to just work on it all, and I want to just keep developing it. And people say, like, they say, what do they say, jack of all trades, master of none, or something, and I'm like, okay,
that's
like
bullshit.
I'm like, whatever.
That's the antithesis of this show. Like, I you know, it's about making yourself feel happy and fulfilled. And it's like doing just one thing is not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just one thing. And
no, and I think us women especially, it's like we like look like we. I'm not saying that men don't by all means, but we have. I find often that like certain, like I've heard guys say, a lot of the reason that women don't stay in this is because they get bored. And I could see that, because sometimes I get bored. Like, I'm like, I don't care about the snare drum. Like, I really don't. So to keep my interest in that, I like to do other things, like producing, like hear how that snare drum is working into the song, or like hear how, what, you know what I mean? It's like songwriting. And once you start actually expanding and getting your writing chops and your producing chops, it makes everything easier and like a lot more fun to do, I think. So I think that's like why I love being the jack of all trades and learning how everything works together. And that's why I'm always doing new shit, like all the time.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Cause I just think that like you've assembled such a tool belt in your armor kind of, and like now I just like, it's just gonna get better and better and better for you. And it's like I'm so psyched for you that you've got even more projects coming up. It's just getting better and better from here. So again, like huge congrats to you. Like, it's so freaking cool, dude. Like, keep rocking it out and representing for the girls. I think it's so cool. And I'm gonna hit you up when I have questions, and I love it. You're super inspiring. Like,
thanks.
It's so
yeah, we have
cool
to connect. We're gonna have to.
Yes, definitely. Oh my gosh.
Especially once we have our vaccines, we can go.
I know. Oh my god.
Up to town.
I know. Oh my gosh,
great.
I can't wait. Yes, totally. So I know you travel a lot for work too. So what is one of the favorite places that you travel to on the job, and why?
So I've been to quite a few places on tour. I would say there's two memories that really stick with me. I love Korean barbecue. I love it more than anything ever. Like, I love Korean.
Can you believe that I've never had it? It's been on my list, but I know. We're always like, yeah, we need to try Korean barbecue. Yeah, gotta try Korean
we are
barbecue.
going. We are going.
Okay, let's do that.
We are going. I mean, I have all my birthday parties at Korean barbecue spots. Like, I've taken my parents. I mean, I've gone to Korean barbecue so many fucking times in my life. I mean, I am really one of those people. Like, there's certain people that are like really a little obsessed, and I just love it. And so I've been to Seoul now a few times in South Korea.
Ooh,
and this last time we got in kind of late, and we went to go walk up and down and the strip, and I was like, let's see if there's any places open. And everything was kind of closing, and everything was closed, and we found this one spot. and we went in, and in Seoul they don't speak much English there. Funny enough, people just don't go to South Korea from the Western world too often.
Right.
So it would be less than in a Beijing or a Shanghai or one of those
Sure.
other more hub cities. People don't always speak English, so in this restaurant they just didn't. But we were like, let's like, so they brought out menus, and we kind of like pointed at stuff, and we waited for like maybe 15 minutes, and we were like very confused at what was going on. Traditionally in, you know, Korean barbecue here, they bring out a bunch of sides and all these crazy kimchi, all this amazing stuff, and then the meat. And we were kind of like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden they came out, and it was like the bomb. It was,
Oh
they
my
brought out
God.
like plates of stuff, and they brought this giant meat cut,
Oh,
put it over like the charcoal grill. Oh man, like fresh
heaven.
beers, like
Oh my God.
soju. It was, I mean, it was, I was like, this is, it's so great, because it wasn't, you know, and I've seen, like, I've been in the like tallest point of Hong Kong at this point and seen the city lights come up, like,
Oh
and
my
that Hong Kong is like
God.
3 times the size of New York City. And it's so it's crazy. And that, to me, that night was like there with a couple of my buddies, just like
Super
drinking beers, have a
memorable.
cream there, just barbecue was one of the most amazing moments.
It's all
And
about the
then,
food, honestly. Like
dude,
we're
and
mixing,
then I
we're
would say,
recording, but what are we gonna eat?
exactly. And then outside Sydney, in Sydney, we had
Oh,
a night,
Sydney.
we were on the freaking, you know, on the harbor, and we could see the Sydney Opera House, and we were at this restaurant where we were eating fresh oysters, like, and kangaroo steaks, which sounds disgusting, but it was so
Ooh.
good.
Was it good?
Oh yeah, it was great. And so
I
it
would try
was,
that.
yeah, it's always going to tie in with food for me.
Yes,
Like
yes,
food.
I love that. I love that. No, it makes so much sense because it's like, I asked my husband yesterday, I was like, would you rather lose your sense of taste or sight? We thought for a minute, and it was a really hard decision, and we both ended up deciding sight. But still, it was just like I really don't know though.
You'd
I can
rather keep your
imagine
sight,
living.
right? You'd rather keep your sight.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I
That would be really
guess
tough.
it's tough. Food
Yeah,
is literally
no.
the reason I live, and I started a cooking page, and I just
I've
love
seen that.
cooking.
Oh my God, I've seen that.
Yeah,
And I was
so
going to tell you
fun.
that you have to come over.
Oh my gosh,
Absolutely.
totally. Yes, we will cook food, and I'll give you all these little fun recipes for scrumptiously delicious food like Italian rice balls and stuff that like,
Oh
oh my
yeah. Oh
gosh,
yeah.
with like
I'm
meat
so into
ragu
it. I'm
inside
so
of it.
into it.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh,
I'm
it's
so
such,
into it.
yeah, food is
Yeah.
life. Food is life. So, talking about food, pizza, you're the pizza queen, pizza connoisseur. You need to tell me where the good pizza is in LA, Eva, because I don't know. I haven't found
Okay.
it.
Well,
I have a pen and paper
okay.
ready. I'm ready to
Okay. Uh, okay. So this is stressful because over quarantine a lot, I was just on Postmates, and I'd look up pizza, find a place, and go. So people ask me for places, and it's hard for me to say. So in
Okay.
Santa Monica, Milo and Olive has pretty good pizza.
Okay.
I like their pizza. I do like Joe's Pizza in West Hollywood. It's New York style, super greasy.
A.
You know it's a good New York style Italian spot if they sell cannolis. If they have pizza and
That's
cannolis,
right.
you're like,
Yes.
that's it, right? So
All right.
that's on
Let's go.
Sunset, up near La Cienega. I think it's still there. If it's not, that used to be my spot.
All right.
Barry's Cafe has something called the lobster pizza, which is basically shrimps and like a bisque sauce.
Oh, stop. I'm
Dude,
so done.
it is the most savory like
Girl.
pizza ever.
Okay, I'm getting that
it's-
tonight. Yeah, we're gonna do that
Yeah,
tonight.
you should order it. If you order it tonight, you gotta tell me. Also, by the way, their chicken wings are fire. So like, get
Oh
some
my
of those.
God. Okay, wings and pizza. I'm doing it. No,
I
seriously.
got that recently. I was like, as a celebrate, I had finished a project, and I was like, I'm ordering $95 worth of pizza. Because
Yeah.
it's not a cheap pizza. Their pizzas aren't cheap, berries, but so their other
That
pizzas
was
are
so
good. But the
good.
lobster pizza is something that's really special because it's like I said, it's like
Oh my
this
God.
cheese. It's got cheese on it, but like like a creamy bisque sauce. Like I don't
That's
even
like the
think it has
best.
red sauce.
Those cream
It's like
sauces are the best. Forget it.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
and
Oh,
then shrimps. You're
shrimps.
gonna die. And then I love masa. For deep dish is great. Masa's good.
All right.
One thing that I still haven't found though is a good like truffle mushroom pizza out here.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you saw, but I posted a flatbread truffle pizza yesterday that I made. But it was just
Instagram for a minute.
Yeah, it was just a Trader Joe's one, but it wasn't bad. I had this truffle powder. I put on in some pesto. Yeah,
I've had that one.
Bad. It's not bad.
But you know like in London, they have those at every pizza spot, and it is killer. Like there's always like a tartuffe, like whatever, and the white sauce, like the thick white sauce,
Parmesan, white truffle oil. Oh.
Yeah, and out here I've gotten it from a few places, and it's always just like a little like flop, like slat. It's like a little damp and wet because I think they put the truffle, like the mushrooms are always a little wet, and it's
right.
But
it's not
in
quite
London,
right.
It's always like thick and fluffy and like Parmesan like burned on. I'm like, oh, so good.
Oh my God. Yes.
So if anyone knows, like, please throw that out there, please.
Yes, definitely. And I did, I haven't gone to this one spot yet, but like the Instagram looks on point. The guy is from Italy, and I've been looking and stalking his page, and I can't wait to go. It's literally on Wknd. It's called Da Michele. His name is Michele, and it's they have a bunch of pizzas, but also he does something real cute on Saturdays. You can like make a reservation, but they have like a drive-in to watch a movie on Saturdays. You can reserve it. They bring you your pizza. Yeah.
What?
I know. I'm romantical.
I must do this.
Freaking cute and fun, right?
I must do this.
I know.
I haven't.
Da Michele. I'll tag you, girl. I'll tag you. Okay, so we're gonna do a pizza trivia. What is your favorite vegetable on pizza?
Artichokes.
Oh, ooh, okay. Sauteed artichokes or like
yeah, like sauteed, like like the whole artichoke, pepperoni, like peppers, black olive thing. I'm all about it.
Oh my God, you know what's up. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, favorite crust style on pizza.
Ooh, that is so tough.
It is, right?
No, why? I mean, like, if we're making it about the crust, I gotta say deep dish, like crust. Like, I have to say that because it's the most, Otherwise, I'd say like stuffed crust from like Pizza Hut.
You're right. I love that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like the thin style pizzas like focaccia and stuff like that?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I like, especially when they're a little burnt around the edges. They're like crispy. Like
yes.
Like
oh
chips
my God.
at the end of it. So good.
I'm so starving. What's your favorite meat topping on pizza?
Oh, easily pepperoni. Definitely.
Can't go
Except
wrong.
on the lobster pizza, definitely the shrimp.
Oh, so freaking good. That sounds amazing. I'm definitely getting that tonight. What's your favorite cheese topping on pizza?
Ooh, that's funny. I actually obviously normal mozzarella, but if we're like going a little outside the thing, I love goat cheese.
Yeah, so good.
Or burrata. Ooh, that's
burrata, tough. Yes! Yes! I love that too.
Oh, that's tough. Now I might burrata.
They have one at Costco right now for like $5. It's a big giant Bel Gioioso. Yeah. I was like, that is so damn cheap for burrata. Yeah.
Okay. Girl. Good to know.
Love it. All right. How about your favorite pizza, like in general? Like favorite pizza pie, what's it got on it?
I mean, that is so depending on the day, man. That's really tough. It's really hard.
Okay, how about the day when you're like, I just want the good stuff. Like this has to settle it has to settle like the sweet craving and the salty craving.
I do the lobster pizza. I got to tell you, that's my special occasion one.
Yeah.
But other than that, I used to just be a big fan of like the pepperoni, the mushroom, like pepperoni, mushrooms, and some extra cheese on it, like burrata or goat cheese, like from Bossa Nova. I would do that all the time. But that's getting knocked off the list. I would say if I was in a place that had a good mushroom truffle pizza, it would be that every time. Like it would definitely be that.
Yeah.
Because I love truffle and I love the cheese. So that would be my second.
God.
And then lately I've actually been into more veggies. Like cause I like just like pepperoni and cheese. It's just kind of like, I mean, I shouldn't say that.
I feel you.
But I love the crunch and I like the profiles of the textures of having like black olives and the green onions and the green peppers and that kind of stuff on it.
Heck yeah. And we're in California, so everybody's all hippy dippy, like vegan, vegetarian all the time. So we're like, okay, fine. Like us East Coasters that are like used to the cold climate and meat. Pizza. Like, okay, like
Don't get me started on cauliflower pizza. I've tried so many times.
I'll like make that, but I'll put a bunch of cheese in the crust, and like I've got to like vamp it up with like some other stuff to make it. It's just like just with the regular cauliflower, it's just not the same.
It's tough. It's tough. I've tried a few different spots like over quarantine. I've given it a shot, but it doesn't age well. It's only good for like 5 minutes, and then it's.
I haven't had it good out anywhere. Yeah. No. So I have a cool recipe for it, which I can show you. I actually put like oatmeal in the crust too, and I like toast the oatmeal. So it's a good one, and I put cheese in it. Cool. So yeah, it ends up not being like super healthy in the end, but I mean, I just want it to taste good. So I'll put vegetables on it after. It's fine. Do
it after.
So you would love. Have you ever been to Sweden?
No.
So that's where Ozzy's from, my husband. And in Sweden, apparently, it's pizza is a humongous deal over there. And I went to visit, and basically when you go into a pizzeria over there, they have literally like 80 to 90 different types of pizzas, Eva. And they're humongous, and they have a million toppings on everything. So I ordered a super weird one because I like to try really weird foods, especially when I'm in different countries and stuff. So I got one called, it was the African style pizza. And it had banana, curry, ox fillet, and gorgonzola. Girl.
Was it like Ethiopian, or was it like what?
So they come from Syria. There are Syrian immigrants that come, and they make this bomb ass pizza there. They have kebab pizza. They have all this dope stuff, and they do Italian style ones too, like Vesuvio with prosciutto and arugula and all that stuff. And like,
I must go there.
Oh my God, yes! And you're gonna think of me when you do it, and I can't wait. It's so good. Okay, I had to tell you about that.
You have to forward it to me, absolutely.
I will. Is there anything that should not be put on pizza, Eva? That's the last pizza question.
I don't like eggs on pizza. Wait, no, I take that back. I've had a really good breakfast pizza in New York one time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
No, I'm a big Hawaiian pizza fan, so I'm not anti-pineapple. Like, I would love me a good if I'm at Cali Pizza Cafe, like I'm just gonna fucking get that one because whatever. That is hard, dude. I hate anchovies. Which is funny because everyone loves anchovies. I don't like them. So I'd say those don't belong on pizza, even though that's like what people put on pizzas all the time. That's the only thing I don't like. Kale too. Don't put kale on your pizza.
Kale, yeah, no.
I mean, you could make it work, but don't make it work.
Yeah, if you saute it with like bacon.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Otherwise.
Other than that, I don't think anything doesn't. I mean, I've eaten a glitter pizza before, so I don't.
Yeah, I saw it. Was that cotton candy? What? Okay, explain. Please.
It's this place in Santa Monica, and I had seen it online. Like,
it looked like a cotton candy unicorn rainbow.
Yeah, it was like a unicorn something pizza, but it was just a cheese pizza, but they put glitter on it. It's edible glitter.
It looks so damn good.
What?
It looks so damn good.
It was, I mean, so many people were like, you have gone too far. And I was like, I am aware. But guys, let me live my life, please. Like, I gotta live. So
live your life, girl.
That's what I said. I was like, oh my God. Like, let me do this.
Oh my God. I love it. You have to go for it. We only live once, right?
We only live once.
Yes.
Amen.
So we are now closing to the end of the interview, sadly. Okay. But the last thing I do in my interview is another fun trivia where you pick one thing. So I set the timer for 1 minute, and you're supposed to have not too much thought at all into these responses. Just give your organic response, and we're supposed to do it in 1 minute times flat. You think you're up for the challenge?
Yes, I'll do it.
Okay, fuck yeah. So here we go on your mark, get set, and we're off. So, coffee or tea?
Tea.
Okay. Chips or pretzels?
Chips.
All right. Pasta bolognese or filet mignon and potatoes?
Filet mignon and potatoes.
Yeah. Analog or digital?
Oh, analog.
Oh, okay. She said it. Pro Tools or Logic?
Pro Tools.
Yeah. Telefunken or Neumann?
Telefunken.
All right. Negroni or Aperol Spritz?
Aperol Spritz.
Hold on. Spritz. That goddamn cocktail is so good, right?
Dude, I have a Spritz station at my house.
I want to see that. I need to see that. Love. Okay. Mixing or recording? You have a preference on favorite?
Mixing.
Okay. Tube mics or ribbon mics?
Tube.
Okay. Hiking or beaching?
Beaching.
Traveling or local adventure?
Traveling.
Okay. And last one is Resident Evil or Underworld?
Underworld.
Yeah!
Nice.
I love it. Did you like that?
That was fun. That was really great.
Sweet. I made it especially for you. I was like, I think she's going to rock with these questions. It was awesome.
Oh, totally. Yes. Underworld. Yes.
Underworld's a badass movie. I knew you would know what that was. I knew it. I love it. Eva, it's been so amazing having you today. Can you give any last minute advice to some of the young and aspiring newcomers to the industry for their journey? And
that's always so funny to say because I still feel like I'm a young person.
Right.
I don't know. Don't mess up the food orders.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. You know, I would just say stay humble. Number one, stay humble. Like drop your ego in any door you walk into all the time. You know what I mean? Everyone's out here trying to do the same thing. The music industry is a super tight-knit family. You know, like show respect to the older people and you know, show a competitive side, but some respect for the people at your same
That's
level
cool,
as well.
girl.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
like, you know, yeah. Like
that thing about speaking up that you were saying before. And
yeah. Speak up and yeah, like, but there's a way you can do it. Be confident without, you got to put in the work. This is a very ADD bunch of suggestions, but like,
no,
you know,
it's totally valid.
A lot of this is about character. Like, I think a lot of it ends up being about character in the end. And if you can be cool and work hard and, you know, put up with a bit of bullshit, I think that anybody will make it. And as long as you've also got the passion and the love for what you do, that's the most important part.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that, then it's going to be so obvious if you're just here for whatever. And let me tell you what, if you want fame and fortune, it's not for you. Like, don't do this.
For sure. And you're so amazing. Your charisma, and I think that your drive and your person, you're so fun to be around. It's no surprise to me that you have had as much success as you've had and that you keep working, because it's like, I mean, who wouldn't want to be around your energy all the time, honestly? I'm just saying, I think it speaks volumes, and it just says so much. It speaks to the humanism that it's just like, just be approachable, be professional, be relatable, all that stuff. It makes so much sense. So yeah. So thank you for sharing that. And then where can people follow you, Eva? If they want to like follow your journey, can people reach out to you if they have a question? I'm
always open for higher questions or whatnot. I really am. My Instagram is at Eva Meep Meep. That's Eva MEEP. I've been on Instagram a little less lately because I'm trying to like kind of break some social media, just scrolling habits. That's just me as an ADD person. I know
for sure. Just jump down rabbit holes. I know it's a practice.
Yeah. Internet presence is so important, but for me lately, I'm really trying to actually focus on the work, you know, and less on that image. I want both, but follow me on Instagram. But as it actually says on my Instagram right now, you can go to my website and there's a contact page on it, and you can email me, and that will forward straight to my email. So
sweet.
Yeah. So that's just evareistad.com. So you can go there, and it's got some credits and some links to like IMDb and AllMusic and whatnot. So yeah.
You were so beautiful inside and out, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you giving me some of your time today.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is great.
Girl,
this is really fun.
You empower, you inspire. It's been amazing. So I'm so happy to connect with you again, and keep us posted with any other cool stuff going on in your life and your career. We're super excited to follow you. And
I will. Yeah, no, there's a lot of fun stuff on the horizon, I think. And even if it's not giant things, it's going to be cool stuff anyway. It's just
hell yeah. Projects. It's a journey, right?
Yeah, projects are projects.
Chameleoning. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So,
that's what's up. It's a wrap, guys. That's Chameleon Cuts for you, Eva Reistad. Be sure to like and subscribe to this video, and thanks so much for watching. See you next time.
My heart feels so achy, chasing you like crazy. Won't you come on over, give me what I want. My heart feels so achy, chasing you like crazy. Won't you come on over, give me what I want.
take me under through the riptide.